After becoming an atheist and leaving religion and Christianity, I had to confront my body dysphoria. And there's different kinds of dysphoria. Mine was basically looking in the mirror and realizing I didn't like how I looked. A lot of that is from having an overeating disorder. But when you grow up in an environment that teaches you to loathe who you are, internalize so much shame, guilt, and just negative feelings about yourself, it's almost impossible to get over that. You have to have really hard therapy. You have to, I don't like the word deliver, but you have to deliver yourself from such negative, toxic looking at yourself that it takes years to change the way you look at yourself. And just because you change the way you look at yourself doesn't mean your brain and your heart catches up so quickly. Body dysphoria and just shame having to do with the female body and just having a libido is hard, escaping from an environment that never talked about these things. It's hard being an adult when you have very little training when it comes to the most important parts of being an adult. And it's real sad. Religion compounds body dysphoria and any kind of lack of confidence when it comes to your body and how you use it, how you feel safe in your skin. There are people that grow up in religious communities that can never feel safe in their own skin because of sub-messaging and just negative teachings about who they are. And I was straight and cis, but you can imagine how compounded that shame is for anyone who doesn't fit the stereotype for whatever gender and group they were born into. Eating a lot was the only way to register the anxiety and panic attacks of having to hide the best parts of yourself because your family is just awful. And the times they're not awful, we never talk about important things. We never talk about emotions and mental illness and just things that matter. There's a lack of compassion. And if you don't have at least one person being an emotional support system, it's easy to spiral into much worse than depression. Body dysphoria is very complicated. It can be a lack of eating. It can be things like bulimia and anorexia. It can translate to not liking yourself even after you've made a change, whether it's physical or emotional. People that yo-yo diet. People who struggle with taking diet pills, overeating. There's so many different kinds. And after major life changes like birth, pregnancy, menopause, becoming an adult, can wreak havoc on people's mental health because they never see themselves in a positive light. And religion does very little to push women to see themselves as something worth living for. Especially if you're in fundamentalism, where your only worth is in your virginity, purity, and your ability to make food. And it's sad how women limit themselves. And men don't hate women half of how other women and women themselves internally loathe themselves. And people who struggle with internalized transphobia and homophobia and misogyny, it's very similar to that. You have to constantly talk to professionals and people who are compassionate to unlearn the toxic ways religion teaches women to see themselves. And women are biologically, by nature, more likely to develop emotional disorders having to do with their body, processing emotion. It's not unheard of for women to be more likely to be depressed or be borderline personality disorder, panic attacks, disorders that affect how people see and express validation. Luckily, mine's not too bad, but I've known people who didn't survive because of the stresses of being Barbie. So I always show compassion to people who do see their body in negative lights. And not believing in religious misogyny is a great way to start seeing yourself in a better light.